Well, it's now time to dive into one of the most critical topics in our industry, and that is crew retention and mental well-being. Navigating the human element in modern shipping, in today's rapidly evolving maritime environment, ensuring that our seafarers are both well supported and motivated is essential to reducing attrition and enhancing operational excellence. Well, this session will explore practical solutions to improve crew retention and foster long-term engagement with special focus on mental health and overall well-being. We are honored to have a panel of distinguished experts who bring a wealth of experience from different facets of the maritime world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our moderator, Ms. Nita Jha, the Director, Group Learning and Organizational Development at MSC Ship Management Limited, a leader in maritime HR who has been instrumental in enhancing crew training, compliance, and welfare. Can we invite Ms. Nita Jha, the Director, on stage, please? Well, joining her on the panel are Captain Dinesh Jairam, GM at Seaspan, an advocate for diversity and inclusivity in shipping. Secondly, Dr. Vijay Belani, Medical Director at Blueshield Medical Clinic, a pioneer in maritime healthcare with over 4 decades of dedicated service. Well, next I would like to invite Captain Sujit Churi, Head of Fleet Personnel at Great Eastern Shipping with over 30 years of experience in recruiting and managing seafarers. Next, MD of Dynacom Tankers, a legal expert in maritime operations and arbitration with more than 25 years in shipping management. That's Captain Mohan Naik. Can I invite you, sir, on stage? Ladies and gentlemen, our next dignitary, Ms. Gurleen Dhir, Senior Marine People Manager at Maersk Fleet Management, a passionate advocate for crew welfare and diversity. Next, Captain Niranjan, Dgama, our sailing master, rounding out our panel with his seasoned perspective. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I now hand over the session to our moderator, Ms. Nita Jha. Please join me in welcoming everyone on stage here. Once again, can we have a round of applause for all our dignitaries up on stage?
Sure. Hello, hello. Hello. Good morning, everyone. The sound is okay?
Hello, check.
Hello.
Oh, check.
Dear esteemed industry colleague and distinguished member, maritime community. First of all, I would like to congratulate for completion of 5 years for FSM. So we all are celebrating the achievement of 5 years. We all know that our topic of today is crew retention and mental well-being, navigating the human element in modern shipping. Crew retention and mental well-being are critical areas of focus for maritime industry of the modern era. Our discussion today will highlight the human factors of shipping, most critical topics like trends in attrition, mental well-being support systems, work-life balance, career development, and organizational culture. The objective is to bring ourselves in line with international best practices and strive to go beyond the set standards so that seafarers attain optimum well-being. Well-being may be viewed as a balance point between the resources and challenges a person faces. It often defined as a state of health, comfort, and happiness is what is needed for a successful maritime workforce. When seafarers flourish, they perform optimally, are in command of their lives, and have positive relationships, and have a sense of purpose in doing what they do. What we seek to do during this discussion today is to search for means to ensure that well-being is a dynamic integration of physical, mental, social, spiritual, financial factors. Optimistic orientation emphasizes the importance of a healthy work environment, training and development, career advancement, good relationship, and the top of it, good management practices. We all must recognize that good mental and physical health facilitates a greater engagement and organizational performance. Better well-being develops resilience, innovation, and productivity. Hence, building a culture, leadership, and people management framework that promotes well-being is necessity. Last but not least, when organizations highly regard well-being as a source of value, there are significant beneficial impacts on their organizational health. There is a greater positive impact through a healthy culture of organizational initiatives and strategies. This conversation of today will aim to explore how we can come together to build a maritime industry where well-being is fundamental reality for all seafarers. Today, present our eminent panelists here. I would like to put one very important thing that last year in 2024, Marine Benefits, they conducted a survey and where over 26,000 seafarers participated. And there is a data that 30% of seafarers are thinking and seriously thinking and preparing themselves to leave the seafaring. This is going to cause a big damage to the shipping industry because we are already running short of seafarers. So here we have eminent panelists. My first question goes to Captain Dinesh Jairam ji. What are the most significant reasons for high attrition rates among seafarers today?
Thank you, Nita ma'am, for the question. So, I think I'll answer it in a little bit different way. I will look at what companies can do to retain their seafarers more,
Yes.
So one of the most important things that I feel is compensation and benefits that the company offers to the seafarers. So the companies have to provide top-of-the-line compensation in line with the surveys that the industry conducts as a median and above the median for keeping the seafarers with them as a retention tool. Then other things like health insurance, retirement plans, bonuses, and incentives that they offer, which I think many good companies do this. Then clear career growth development. The seafarers should know very clearly where they stand and what is the next step in their career and what they need to do to advance that path. Also the certification, education required. Then work-life balance, that is rest hours on board. And if you need extra manpower, the company should support that to make their life easy on board. Positive culture, leadership. The leader should be empathetic, and that's how the company should train them, and to recognize and reward hard work and loyalty. Then another important thing is the crew welfare. So seafarers should have a fair treatment on board. The company should have a clear bullying and harassment policies which are operational and working, and ensure free communication between the seafarers and the office staff. Then things like, small things like food on board. If the companies do look at that and care to have maybe a chef like we have at Seaspan, where we have a chef who looks at what is there in the store and what can the ship's cook provide for the seafarers on board. Things like that. And then we released a cookbook as well during the COVID. So those are all initiatives, small contests that we have on board as far as the food goes. Then the feedbacks, whatever we take from the seafarers, should always be anonymous. And that way the seafarers are, they're happy to give the feedback if the company really cares for their feedback. Then various things like SOPs, most of the job descriptions are very basic. So if you have proper SOPs for a rank, that helps a lot for people to stabilize on a rank. And internet is another big thing that most of the seafarers would like, and they always want more of it, no matter how much you give on board. And we understand that with what we saw with Shaukat's presentation yesterday. And then inclusivity and various other things that the companies can do, like planning home loans for seafarers. Like we have done it in the Philippines for the seafarers there. And for cadets, bursary programs. So we're not looking at people who have achieved something in their training. We're looking at people who are from underprivileged families who we can support financially. So these are all things that will help retention and in the long run help attrition as well for seafarers. Thank you, ma'am.
We would like to hear with Captain Sujit Churi. What's your point of view?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
What Captain Dinesh mentioned, he covered maximum parts. But as you asked about attrition, over the years, in last 30 years, I would say, the shipping profession was considered as exploring, it's adventurous. But over the years, with social media becoming more active and various other professions which, without staying away from the home, we could achieve that much money at home, made it little lucrative and more attrition towards shipping. But this award or rewards, at the same time creating a different atmosphere on the ship, the culture, creating various aspects where how you can manage your life in the different parts of your career, where the balance of when you are at the teenage, when you get married, then you get responsible in your personal life, and at the same time your growth in the worldwide, how it can be achieved. If you project it in a nice way, keeping the control of not going it out of control, because sometimes the ship things can go out of control because they're on the small island and the processes go little weird. It's achievable and we can make it lucrative and achieve and reduce the attrition.
Yes. This way they will feel a sense of belongingness and valued. Yeah, my next question is to Captain Mohan Naik ji. How can companies build a workplace culture that promotes long-term engagement and loyalty?
Thank you, Nita madam. Actually, my co-panelist, Captain Dinesh Jairam, has already covered the industry best practices for retaining seafarers. So for good practices, further development of that, I would like to focus on two aspects in which the seafarers will be appreciating and staying with the company if the company builds on a good work culture. See, why does a seafarer leave a company? It is not only because of the work culture. He is leaving because of two kinds of pressures that are on him. One is a push and one is a pull. The push comes from within the company, the wrong practices which the company is carrying out, and that the seafarer observes, focuses on that, and he says, no, this company is not having the best safety practices, not having the best human touch for personal touch, family type atmosphere. So he leaves the company. And of course, wages are a very important part by which, the seafarer is definitely going to be motivated by monetary benefits. The second reason why he says that work culture may be attractive somewhere else, some other company who are giving a better, advertising is better, or they feel that that company, by word of mouth, they feel that this company is definitely better prospects than my present company. And the third thing, the work culture which is happening on board is definitely cannot compare with what work culture exists on shore-based industry. So shore-based industry should be an example where the best work cultures can be copied or at least emulated by the shipping industry. There are many companies, I don't want to name all of them. There are some companies like Tata's, Ambani's, and even the smaller ones, Bajaj, for example. You try to absorb those work cultures and try to emulate them in the shipping industry. It's not easy, but it's not difficult also, and certainly it's not impossible. You get outside influence who are doing this work culture study in the main industry to put it on board and also to put it on the shore establishment. We should not run it like, what command and control type of a center where the master's word is all sacrosanct. We must also give a proper work-like atmosphere on board and slowly build upon the work culture. So I will just try to repeat the same thing. Try to observe from shore industry and try to emulate it on board. Don't go by the old practices that have been carried out for the last 25 years.
Thank you, sir. My next question goes again back to Captain Dinesh Jairamji. How can ship management companies improve communication and support system to help seafarers feel more connected and valued?
Thank you, ma'am. So, as far as communication goes with the seafarers, ideally, if you have a medium, like, for example, I'll give you our example where we have an app where we connect with all the employees. So all the seafarers, whether you're on leave or whether you're on the ship, you can communicate. You can communicate to a particular rank. You can communicate to everybody. And whatever message anybody wants to give, that including the women groups that we have. So we can communicate that very clearly. And then listening to feedback. We do surveys, various surveys, where we ask a list of questions to all the seafarers. And the result is again anonymous. And what comes out of that is something that we publish, and we try to fix the problems that we have. So engaging the crew with the management is very important. Also, whatever trainings that you do, especially the new types of trainings, the human element training, So these kind of trainings is not only required for seafarers. What we find is when we had a first course, the seafarers are turning around and asking us, why don't you get the office staff also to get trained in that? So it's very important that the office staff also has to get aligned with the sea staff. So then only you can benefit from all this kind of engagement that you have with the seafarers. So these are some of the things that I can mention. Thank you.
Well, we all will love to hear from our sailing staff, Captain Niranjan. Captain Niranjan, what's your viewpoint? You're a sailing captain, and your viewpoint is really important to us. So let's hear from him.
Thank you, Nita ma'am. Good afternoon to all of you all, and thank you, Captain Shaukat, for having me here today. I would like to bring already spoken by our esteemed panelists here. There are a lot of companies that are doing a lot of good, right? For us as masters, when we are sailing, the important factor, like in the last session was spoken about the HR element. We are not trained as HR people. We are doing what we can as a master. Yes, we have games, we have parties on board, whatever we can do to initiate a contact between the crew. There's a lot of ambiguity and a gap that happens because when we're sailing with multinationals especially, people are not readily coming forward to speak to you about their problems. So the only way to break the ice that I have noted is having some small kind of a party, engaging people into activities as a group. And it does change a lot. Like even yesterday when Devesh said, having sports activities. On board, you can't really have sports activities. The only thing you can really do is play ping pong at the maximum. And that's what I try to do. Encourage people, have tournaments. You have the welfare fund. Use that money to give them some incentive and say, okay, whoever wins gets this. So people do come up now and things are changing gradually. Thank you.
Wonderful. So my next question here is, what role do mentorship and leadership plays in ensuring seafarers stay motivated and committed to their careers? So my question goes to Captain Sujit Churi.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Question here is, what role do mentorship and leadership play in ensuring seafarers stay motivated and committed to their careers?
Yeah. As being a sailing master's view, he mentioned that we have not trained. So when you are carrying a ship of 23 people with a different nationalities, one type of ship, people from different parts of India itself is also how different we are from a different culture. And to take them together and carry that team and achieve different targets like wetting inspections or third-party inspection or anything to make an voyage from A to B successfully, the mentorship and how to mentor is also required to be trained properly, because the human resources available and their mental health at certain times, their IQ at certain times, and their adaptation to the various situations. Some people are young, some people are old. So those things, if it is trained properly, there will be a different ball game on the ship, and the output, what you will get, will have a couple of knots added to the speed of the ship, which we can say in a shippy language. Just giving compensation or money or rewards doesn't help you, but certain times, many times, the emotional touch or a psychological push, like we have many companies with a shore-based support on various occasions. In the middle of the oceans, when somebody is sick at home or somebody died, but at the same time you cannot go back. So that patch of time between the middle of the ocean to the first port where you can get down successfully, your mental health, how it can be handled, how that can be monitored from shore. At the same time, the master or the people on board can handle that situation very nicely without he falling down or getting into depression. Because today with the social media available, we are getting impact so fast because we are accessible to the various situations in the second moment, and that causes a lot of mental trauma, at the same time depression, because you start thinking too much. Previously, the communication was not so fast, so the information used to come late, so the reaction was also late. But now in minutes, suddenly you get a message that he's not coming out of cabin because there's a message came from home. So how these bounces can be absorbed and taken care, a mentorship or a training is quite needed, so that you will get a factor which is feeling you soothing, that okay, it's like a home here, not just professional. Surely help.
Yeah, we have a diverse workforce around seafarers, and these skills are really important, the leadership skills. But further, I would like to Captain Mohan Naik ji to elaborate on this.
Thank you, Nita ma'am. Mentor and mentorship is a highly skilled operation. Of course, some people are born with it, but some people have to acquire it. What we do here is enroll all our officers, even the cadets, into the nautical institutes as a student member whenever they are recruited. The nautical institute itself has a program on mentorship. It's an excellent, well-known program, and it has been successful. what is happening nowadays, even after so much of training and mentorship, is we get a feedback that the master or the chief officer or the chief engineer, sir, we don't have time to do any kind of mentorship. The ships are turning fast around. So, and what do they ask the TNO and TME to do? Is mostly paperwork. He works as a clerk on board. Instead of learning on the job, seamanship, or even little bit bridge watchkeeping, we had observed that these boys and girls, they are doing mostly clerical jobs. So they don't learn anything in their 1 year or 18 months that they are on board. In the end of the day, they come back with a certificate of competency. And then, they are not really fit enough to keep bridge watches or engine watches. So what we did in the few years back is to have an officer going, along with the superintendent, going and checking whether actual mentorship is going on or not, and try to curb the mentality of the senior officers to, just give paperwork, which is now increasing day by day because of various reasons. All companies are having that pressure, not only one or two. So mentorship and leadership play a very big role, and that has to be monitored. However, as they say in Hindi, ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती है. So you require the mentor and the mentee both to be on the same page. Just one-sided, giving, and the other person is not taking, as Captain Chinna Riparaju had said earlier, that when you're imparting learning, the learner should also absorb it. It should not be a one-way street. So definitely mentorship plays a very important role, but it should be monitored and it should be carefully observed by the company. And if persons who are not doing that should be at least given some kind of a training and ask them to do more and more mentorship. Thank you.
Thank you. So our top management on board, our captain, chief engineer, they have to be the role model there on board. My next question goes to Ms. Gurleen Kaur. What policies or incentives have successfully improved crew retention rates in leading shipping companies?
Thank you for the question, and I'm glad the others spoke before me because then I can talk about what we are doing at Maersk. But before answering the what, it's important to understand the why retention and why mental well-being. Over the years, retention is treated as a problem to solve rather than a responsibility to own. When people leave, the reality is they leave not just because of pay, because of the culture. Yes, the future is green fuels, automation, but people are equally important because they are the ones who are going to sail. At Maersk, we don't believe in just having a reactive approach. We always like to go back to the grassroots level to, eradicate the issue. And while my other colleagues have already mentioned about what all things we do, and yes, we are also doing, but that's for the millennials who are already there. Let's not forget it's the Gen Z and Gel Alpha who are next coming and who are very clear about their priorities, one being work-life balance, one being mental well-being. And that's where we decided to go back to school. Talking about Maersk Center of Excellence. We have a dedicated representative who is based out of Maersk Center of Excellence to ensure that the curriculum is not just making our cadets ready, tough and resilient for the future, the qualities which are glorified in maritime industry, but also training them on soft skills to manage crisis situation on board. When a death happens on board or an accident, a lot can go within. And to train the cadets right from the beginning this is where we thought we should start, and exactly what we did when we launched our Equal at Sea initiative. We sensitized, we went back to school at the grassroots level because that's where we can train the young minds that yes, it's important to be tough and resilient on board, but when there is a crisis situation, it's okay to be overwhelmed, it's okay to get the burnout feeling, and here, these are the tools and techniques how you can overcome it. So that's where we went to the school. Now, the education doesn't stop there. From there, the cadets joined the vessel, and that's where we launched our cadet culture program, where we are giving a clear roadmap to our cadets, mentorship program, study days leave, and a dedicated buddy ashore who's talking to them and checking with them every day in, day out, or whenever they want. Yes, it's important to have apps, various other policies, but it's this personal touch that makes a lot of difference. And we at Maersk don't consider retention just as some policies. We believe we do this with purpose because we understand how important it is to create a workspace that inspires loyalty, that's fostering leadership to prioritize well-being and ensuring that mental health is not just a box to check, but a responsibility to embrace. I was very happy when Captain Dgama mentioned about the HR skills, and this is again a very proud moment to share that from the cadet, that's not where we stop. For our senior leadership on board, we have programs, a unique leadership program and Top 4 Talks podcast, which is ensuring that they are trained to lead with empathy, respect, foster teamwork, and embrace the people coming from different backgrounds. We are teaching them skills and tools and techniques, how they can give feedback in a constructive way, and how can they have a difficult conversation on board. Because as Karan mentioned yesterday, technical skills will be learned because it's mandated by regulations and vessel requirement. But it's the soft skills which are highly underrated, and that's what we are focusing at Maersk. Now, career progression is one thing. Coming to the mental well-being, because the seafarer looks for a complete package. And that's where we launched our mental wellness webinar, not just for our seafarers, but also their families. Customized, tailor-made sessions where seafarers have a safe space to talk about mental health. At Maersk, we never make fun of someone if they come up saying that I'm feeling anxious and I would like to sign off. Because we truly understand that they can have those days, and that's where we have very, very good policies like Moments That Matter, where we are with our seafarers not just in good times, but in toughest times. We also understand when something happens to a family ashore, a seafarer can go through a very, very tough time on board, and that's where our compassionate policy plays a very big role. While the seafarer takes time to come back home, we have a dedicated team member who's supporting the family till the time they reach. And these small, small gestures, they take a lot of time. We invest a lot of energy and resources. But at the end, when the seafarer writes us a thank you note, that makes our day, and that's what truly defines the Marine People team at Maersk. Now, Captain Churi also spoke about psychological support, and that's where we have tied up with one of the best telemedicine provider, where we are providing a psychological support not just for onboard seafarers, but also the ones who are on leave. It's very important that when someone comes up saying that, hey, I'm not feeling well, we should provide them support when it's needed the most. And we've seen seafarers coming and appreciating about it. Talking about dedicated team to ensure that there's a direct connect with our vessels, we have a team who is trained to handle difficult conversation, and every seafarer who signs off gets an opportunity to speak to their respective Marine People advisor, who will talk to them about their feedback, how was their experience on board, and the questions are curated in such a way that it captures the psychological safety aspect, and any red flag, mind you, any red flag is taken to the highest management in the team, and they are taking action over it. So it's these small things eventually that's helping Maersk to ensure that the seafarers are retained, and we are creating a space where they feel valued, heard, and supported.
Thank you, Gurleen. This is really true that salary, and this is a hygiene factor, but there are a lot of motivational factors. So here, well-being is a very sensitive topic, and without that, it will be not right. On this stage, we have Captain Vijay Belani. I have a question, Dr. Vijay Belani. What proactive steps, a doctor here present will give us amazing insight. What proactive steps can be taken to address the mental health challenges of seafarers, particularly post-pandemic?
Thank you, Nita Ji. Gurleen has very clearly elaborated. Thank you. Gurleen has very clearly elaborated a very big protocol, how they look after their seafarers and their mental health. But in my practice, my observation, I feel that a seafarer has a mental trauma when he is not identified, he is not rewarded, not recognized to the point of being rejected. You have said a sense of belonging. Captain Churi talked of creating a home-like environment. Gurleen has gone much further. So these are some of the things which we could all assimilate, take the best practices and put it together. Social media is a double-edged sword. I think that has a lot to contribute to mental health in seafarers. Most of them retreat into their own cabins. On social media, interacting, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter and whatever. I have a 14-day sailing time in my career, much less than anyone here on the dais. There were 52 people on board. And during free time, there was a smoke room, there was a mess room. People were there, one of the chief engineers showing magic tricks. So there was a lot of intermingling, interpersonal relationships. If anybody did behave abnormally, it was very easily picked up. Today, that is not the case. Automation, there's no time to mingle, there's no time for leisure. I feel, please correct me if I'm wrong, there's no time for leisure on board, I presume. There are people who say when we leave Rotterdam and we are approaching Amsterdam, it's like there's no time to even rest. It's documentation and there's a lot of load of work. There are a lot of expectations, I guess, because if there were 52 at that time and there are 22 and 23 now, with automation, in spite or despite the automation, I think there's a lot of load of work, pressure work. And another aspect that Gurleen also touched, and I would say, is that at a time when there's a medical condition at home and a seafarer cannot reach home, he feels alienated. And definitely if he cannot participate at the time of the last rituals, at the time of bereavement, these are major traumas, mental traumas, and we need to cushion them somehow. Gurleen has created a cocoon for some of their seafarers during the time of bereavement. That's wonderful. But these are some of the measures. There is a familial inclination to mental health. So it's not easy to identify or eliminate who would be a potential seafarer with mental health. Those in remission or under treatment, also when they undergo these psychometric tests, may not always give us a true picture. And most of the times I've seen seafarers taking psychometric testing very, very lightly. One of them told us that he had no time, and while coming to our office, he was filling up the questionnaire in the auto. So this is something that the management can take up with the seafarers to take the questionnaire for psychometric testing seriously. So at least we can eliminate those with a high risk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I have here one question to Captain Niranjan. Are current mental health initiatives sufficient, or do we need a more structural global approach? This question goes to you. Yes?
Yeah, thanks, Nita ma'am, again. Yes, I would say we need a little more structured global approach. Like I said earlier, having multinational crew, and even when Captain said that even on board with only Indians, with the different parts of India, there is a difficulty in people speaking up. So the approach needs to be a little bit more structured. People should be able to come up and say, yes, I am having a problem. They should be able to pick up their phones, because there are a lot of app-based services from many companies which say you can connect with us anytime you want. But how many people are coming up? How many people are really saying, I need help? Zero. I can surely say that zero. Deaths on board create a bigger hassle. You have a death on board and everybody is traumatized. How are people dealing with it? Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody's scared. So probably a little bit more structured approach globally, which will help people to come up and say, yes, I need help. That's one of the priorities that we need to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that we are running short of time, but this question is very important. And I would like Captain Dinesh Jairam ji, please answer this question, which is, I think everybody will love to hear. How can technology, example, telemedicine, virtual wellness program, help support seafarers' well-being?
Thank you, ma'am. So, telemedicine, especially for seafarers, since the ship is on a voyage and, there's not much alternative they have other than talking to a doctor firsthand. So I think it's great where the seafarer can connect directly to a specialist in whatever field they are and get a response by way of medication, diagnosis, and some treatment till it reaches the port. So telemedicine, I think, is very good and evolving for the voyage part, till the ship gets into port. Then, of course, you can see a doctor. So another question you had? Just one? Telemedicine?
Telemedicine, yeah, that was one question. And about help support seafarers' well-being, how it has. So the answer is very clear.
Yeah. So various companies have different organizations with whom they tie up. Like, for example, we have the Sailor Society at London. So if anybody feels down, they have the helpline, and they don't need to inform anybody on the ship. They can directly call them. They have experts who can talk to them and give them counseling. Same way, we have tied up with 3Cube based in Singapore. They do similar. They have 3 psychologists, psychiatrists, plus counseling staff that are there to help the people. So all these initiatives, and I think also ISWAN, there where people can reach out, and these are all great initiatives for the seafarers. Thank you, ma'am.
And today we are running short of time, a number of times I'm telling you, but this question is very important, and I would like Dr. Vijay J. Belani to say, how can the industry encourage a cultural shift towards openly discussing mental health without stigma? This is very important and sensitive
Thank
too.
you, madam. You've already emphasized the phrase stigma, which I was going to say. As Gurleen said, we encourage people to say, even if they say they're anxious, they should come forward. But it's not easy. I would say it has a stigma as bad as leprosy or tuberculosis even today. So it has to have a cultural shift right from the time that cadets are training, training institutes, that mental health is as important as physical, and one can come up to a doctor as freely as for physical complaints. If they're feeling anything, mentally depressed, mentally out of frame, not able to adjust, maladjustments, whatever, please come up to the doctor immediately and let it not linger and become a big problem.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for the wonderful insight. And any questions from the audience, please? No, we don't have time. So just we close. Let us continue to invest in knowledge, technology, training to shape an industry that respects both the ocean and those who navigate them. Together we can build a future where sustainability and empowerment goes hand in hand. Thank you very, very much, everyone. A big round of applause, and thank you to our eminent panelists today. Thank you. Oh, we have one question here.
Okay, thank you. Nita Ji, you spoke about the recent survey stating 30% of the seafarers plan to take up shore assignments.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I would like to add one major step that can change the tide of attrition to shore assignments.
Yes, sir.
It is protect seafarers from criminalization.
Yes.
We need to use all international forums to speak on this issue and raise awareness in this world community. And Shore Leave also has added to it.
As well.
Anybody from the board, from the forum, if they want to comment further on it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Also, from the human element, just 1 second, we should stop thinking about who failed and where we failed in the system. Start thinking in that direction, a lot of things will change. We conveniently blame the crew for everything that happens on board.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I
One thing
request-
is very important. Seafarers are the one who runs the business and they run the propeller. So it's very important for all of us. We all know. Sorry.
Yes, I
thank
request
you.
our dignitaries to please stay back. And on stage, I would like to call Captain Basin, MD, MSc, Ship Management, along with Ms. Ritu Chaudhary from Enmarol Chemicals, along with Mukherjee sir. Can I ask you to please come up on stage? It's time to felicitate our speakers.
This felicitation is being sponsored by Manet.
Thank you so much to all our dignitaries for giving us such a lovely insight about this amazing topic. Well, a big thank you to all our dignitaries up on stage here.